not more than a couple of days ago, I had the same question with a policeman.
Okay.
I say, but the THC business is there. Every day there's 400,000 joints smoked in Belgium. So the THC business is there. It's just not in the shop. But if you go on the street and in the corner of the street, the THC business is there.
No waffle. While it's easy to overlook Belgium's burgeoning cannabis market, especially given the power plays made by its much larger neighbours, the nation has a well-established CBD flower market. We speak to Joeri Perneel, founder of Pure Support CBD and the GreenGrown chain of cannabis stores, to find out what's coming next in Belgium. Hello and welcome to the Lobsterpot podcast. I'm Dave Barton, and contrary to popular belief, I'm not in Hawaii today, unfortunately. I'm in a kind of grey, overcast UK. But, my guest today, he's, well, you're not in Hawaii, are you? We've got Joeri Perneel here, who's the founder of Pure Support CBD and the GreenGrown chain of cannabis stores. We're going to find out what's happening in his native Belgium, because we hear lots about a lot of other countries, don't we, Joeri? We hear about the Netherlands, we hear about France and obviously Germany. But what's happening in Belgium? Because change is afoot, as I understand it.
Yeah, hello everybody. Belgium, it's a small country in the middle of the Netherlands and Germany and France and Luxembourg, where we see our neighboring countries taking steps forwards into the cannabis legalization, decriminalization. But Belgium, we were the first to have a legal framework to sell CBD as a tobacco substitute as a flower. And I 100% believe that the government missed an opportunity to continue on this wave, to do also something with THC.
When did that happen? When was the sort of CBD framework put into place?
2019, okay. June 2019, we started our company in July 2019. Because in June 2019 there was a legal framework that CBD flowers, because before they were sold as potpourri or as a decoration, and the Belgian government said no way, we gotta stop this business, we gotta put tax stamps on it, and we're gonna take 20% VAT on it and 30% specific tax on it, so 50% on CBD flowers in Belgium. And my background is tobacco industry. I used to work for Gallagher and Imperial Tobacco, so that's how I jumped into the cannabis due to the tax stamps business.
Mm-hmm. And I guess they're both kind of highly regulated industries in many respects. So I guess understanding how has that been useful to you, understanding what the kind of, I guess, navigate those kind of legal frameworks and finding workarounds? That always feels to me, that's what a lot of cannabis companies are doing. I'm not saying it's necessarily what everybody does, but, it's always like, oh, well, if we do that, then that sets us up, like you sort of seen in the US, a lot of companies, like, for example, cookies, we're a fashion brand, we're a kind of CBD brand. Oh, look, we're just a cannabis brand, I feel like the same activity is happening in Belgium.
I think Belgium is good, and I don't like to compare with tobacco, but the regulation around tobacco, I think it's necessary to have the same kind of regulation on cannabis, THC, CBD, however, because what I see, what we see in the US, I don't think it's the way to go in Europe to do gummies with THC, etc.
Really?
I don't think it's the way to go. I think regulation and legalization is the way to go, but under a strict framework and also ad ban. I believe it's contradictory if we say we're going to make some publicity on the television about CBD. I don't have any problem about THC, about smoking flowers. I have a problem because it's still smoking is still not good for the human being. So I believe,
I was going to say, in terms of the sort of legality of medical cannabis, I mean, is that quite prevalent in Belgium at the minute? What's
there's no law. Medical cannabis doesn't exist in Belgium. So
really,
the only thing that exists in Belgium on the cannabis side, CBD side, is there's a legal framework to sell CBD flowers under the tobacco law below 0.3% THC. There's a legal framework to sell cosmetics, CPNP regulated cosmetics below 0.2, 0.3% THC. And we sell CBD oil, but we sell it as a ornament to smell, not as a food supplement, because of the novel food. We don't have the same. We didn't have the same approach in Belgium like we had in the UK and Europe. Say we give the responsibility to each country to each member. So do whatever you want with novel food.
Oh, very cool. But that's interesting. I mean, again, so there's no, I'm just kind of stating, there's no kind of real framework for sort of medical cannabis. But again, you know, from what I understand is if we're going to have in different countries, as we have in Germany, as kind of we have in the UK, and I think Canada sort of did this as well. You know, they started out with a very kind of robust medical program before started the kind of recreational sort of legislation came in. Do you think there's appetite for, I mean, obviously you talked about CBD is quite popular, very popular in Belgium, but do you feel like, you know, recreational cannabis, you know, adult use, is that sort of coming in, or do you feel like there's appetite for that politically and, you know, amongst people within Belgium?
There's appetite for that. You know, in Belgium, every day there's about 350 to 400,000 joints smoked every day in Belgium. Come from an illegal market where there's no taxes, VAT, labor, transport, nothing is paid. It's just getting the illegal networks getting richer and richer. So, and this market is not going to disappear, and we're not going to make a market if we're going to legalize it or regulate it. There are 400,000 joints every day smoked in Belgium, and that's business reality. And or you make a choice to say, look, yeah, it's there, and give it to the underworld, or okay, it's there, let's regulate it, let's get some money out of it. But not only the money, I think it's also get some quality, get some rules about it. So is there is appetite? Yes. We did already some debates here with politicians. There's a big debate with all political parties. The 6th of May in Ghent and university in Ghent, the big political debate on all drugs, also alcohol, etc. How we have to handle it. And I think, it's always there's appetite, but there's some politicians who need to take 1 minute of guts to put it into a law, and that's always the problem.
Yes, always it's kind of like, okay, consumer demand is one thing, and then the ability of businesses to capitalize on that becomes the next thing. Then it's like, well, can the legal framework accommodate what people want to do and what retailers want to do? And I guess you kind of know that better than anyone. I mean, in terms of, because, you know, when we spoke before, we were talking about how just popular CBD flower is in Belgium. And again, that feels, and we don't even have CBD flower here in the UK, you know. But
well, what we see is it was never the strategy to make a trendy product. But what we see in Belgium is that we launched CBD flowers 2019. Today, our product is available in 3,000 to 4,000 shops in Belgium, and people are aware that they can smoke good quality of CBD flowers where they don't have nicotine. If they smoke, they have the whole ritual of smoking a joint, but don't get high. And what we see, the same in Belgium with alcohol, it's trendy to drink a zero alcohol beer at lunchtime. 20 years ago at lunchtime we drank wine and beer, and today not anymore. They drink alcohol-free beer, and they're quite nice beers in Belgium. And we see the whole trend also to joints, to smoke a THC free joint. It's like a trendy thing to do. with people from 20 to 30 year, and that's that's the wave we see in Belgium.
And that's really interesting because, again, do you feel like, I mean, someone like yourself, sort of, you know, if THC products were made legal, you'd have the infrastructure set up to be able to deliver on that. You've got your network of stores, you've got your products. Is it a case of, do you feel like if THC, or maybe when THC products become legal in Belgium, sort of for consumers, the market for CBD will disappear? Or do you think it's so entrenched in culture? I'm curious.
I'm happy you're asking the question, because no more than a couple of days ago, I had the same question with a policeman.
Okay.
I say, but the THC business is there. Every day there are 400,000 joints smoked in Belgium. So the THC business is there. It's just not in the shop. But if you go on the street and in the corner of the street, the THC business is there. So people have to know that the CBD business and the THC business is different consumer, different type of consumer, and different time of consuming also. But the two businesses are 100%. There's 100% possibility to work next to each other. Like you have alcohol beer and alcohol-free beer. There's people say, yeah, but your business is going to disappear as THC become legal. No, because THC is there. It's not illegal there, but it's there. It's there. It's there. It's between 150 and 200 ton a year in Belgium of cannabis flower. So
that's not going to disappear overnight, but that's interesting. I mean, what do you see? What's your sort of typical CBD consumer? I mean, you've talked about it as smoking cessation kind of product, but do you feel like there's a more, I mean, when I look at CBD products here in the UK, you know, more and more, I always look at it from the perspective, if my mother starts to hear about it and starts to ask questions about it, that it's kind of reached the point of, you know, most people know about it. And it's kind of like, oh, we know it's cannabis. We know it's the bit that doesn't get you high. We know it has health benefits. That's the kind of wrapper we have, I think, a little bit more publicly kind of here in the UK. Do you feel like it's a different, you know, it's perceived differently in Belgium?
But what we see, our clients, consumers, we have in our shops, 80% are recreational. 80% of the people coming to our shop are recreational use, and 20% is medical well-being use. If people come for better sleep or whatever, we're never going to propose them flowers to smoke, because it's not healthy. We go for the oils and the cosmetics, etc., if they have some well-being things. Smokable, our consumer, it's people who smoke too much THC who say, look, we have to stop or smoke less THC, so they have CBD flowers. We have people who say, look, we used to smoke, but from time to time it's nice in an evening with a glass of wine to smoke a CBD joint. So it's nice. And people who mix it, who say, look, I want to smoke a joint, but I don't want to get high at noon in my workplace. So they smoke over day CBD, and in the evening and the weekend they smoke THC. So it's a mixed of but they're all cannabis lovers, and they love the whole idea of rolling a joint, of smoking a joint, coming to a coffee shop, a THC-free coffee shop we have in Belgium. But they love the whole flow, the whole spirit around it. That's what they love.
No, that's awesome. I think, again, it would be interesting to sort of look at that from other countries. I mean, you know, again, like I say, it always feels like the medical cannabis has to sort of come in before, you know, recreational kind of THC cannabis comes in. But actually, I suppose having CBD flower and access to it from, you know, recreationally still feels like, you know, it's a similar experience. Like you say, people like the ritual, they like to roll, they like to, you know, to grind flour and enjoy it in that way, and think of it as a kind of, you know, better alternative to tobacco. but it's interesting that again that it takes you right from kind of a recreational into another recreational space once THC comes online in Belgium, and I guess the perception that medical cannabis, oh, it's medicine, all of a sudden actually people are taking gummies and you're doing it to get high. Arguably there's both a therapeutic, if you think about it. I mean, that's a different debate, but it's interesting to think that if you go from medical into suddenly actually it's not just medicine, as I think I've spoken to people in Canada and they said overnight once recreational came in, people didn't bother with medical and unless there was a financial benefit. So it seems like, well, people just go and go, oh, I've got bit of pain or something like that, I know what works for me, I'm just going to go and buy, I don't want to get prescription, I'm just going to go and buy it from a dispensary. And I feel like that's it's an interesting
anyway, medical or recreational is the same plant. It's the same plant.
100%. That's the thing as well, isn't it?
The most of the time the medical cannabis is much expensiver than the recreational one, if we can call it like this. It's the same plant, it's more, it costs more, and people not always want to go to the pharmacy to buy flowers, and I think, is it the pharmacist who needs to sell flowers? Maybe he can sell THC oil and THC extracts or whatever, but flowers, it's fighting selling flowers to smoke in a pharmacy. On the other hand, I strongly believe that within 10 years, 15 years, we're not going to smoke a joint like we smoke them today. We will all dry herb vaporizing. So that's a more healthier way and a much more better way to use the flowers.
I'm very much a fan of that. That's it. I mean, I'm a patient here in the UK, and at first it was kind of like using the dry herb was like, actually I'm not quite sure, but actually now I wouldn't. It's nice to occasionally smoke, but I don't enjoy it in the same way. It's not, But I think that's it. It's almost like the normalization, because we've been told smoking's bad, tobacco, it'll kill you. We know all the reasons why, those sort of thing. And then when it's like, but it's okay to smoke cannabis, and that feels counterintuitive to a lot of people. You know what I mean?
100%. And smoking is bad. Smoking is bad. And smoking cannabis is less bad than smoking nicotine and tar, but it stays bad. So dry herb vaporizing it's better. And that's a difficult discussion for politicians. We do everything to ban tobacco out of everything, and then we're gonna legalize something you can smoke, and that's the contradictory thing on the whole discussion.
Exactly. And I think it's again, do you have in your stores, do you have like a kind of, what do you call, like a social lounge or something like that, or consumption area, or is it, do you feel like that's the sort of, not necessarily as a social club in the same way, more and more you're hearing about these kind of consumption lounges and people just
we have in some of our shops have the possibility to smoke their CBD weed in a garden, on a terrace, but we don't want to do it in front of the shop. It's always behind the shop, because I think you need some manners, and it's not because you can sell CBD flowers that you have to put in front of your shop people smoking CBD flowers, but because it's still the smell of cannabis, and some people are still shocked about smelling it, and so there's some education and manners needed to use cannabis, if it's CBD or THC. You don't smoke in a public area. You don't smoke, and it's the same for cannabis. Smoke it, for me, smoke it at home. It's the best way. I honestly, social clubs, I'm not a big fan of it. People in The Hague, if they listen to our panel, I already told I'm not a big fan of social clubs. Especially, I don't believe that people who smoke, and how they're gonna get home? They're gonna drive. They're gonna take a bike. So it's better to do it at home, consumption, not the homegrown, because that's also something I'm not in favor. So well,
that's an interesting point. If you're not in favor of homegrown, because I always think of the point that we can all grow tomatoes in our gardens if we want to, but we're still going to buy them from the store, right?
Yeah, but homegrown. In Colombia, you can have 20 plants per person, homegrown. So if you're with four guys living in an apartment, you can have 80 plants. Makes no sense. The whole thing about
growth,
the whole thing about regulating the cannabis business is to control it, to have security, to have quality, to manage the THC levels. And if you go for homegrown, so taxes and VAT, forget it. So no income for the state. Control on THC levels, forget it. If somebody can grow, I don't know, 500 gram a plant each time he's flowering, so as he's gonna smoke, maybe if you don't smoke, and you say, but I can have a plant, so you're gonna create black business again. So is that the aim of home growing? My grandfather also did his own tomatoes and carrots and salads. But do we? No, we go to the shop and we buy it. So that's why if there's some people who want to have their own plant for personal use, okay, fine. But I don't think it's
20 plants is a bit much for one person.
Let's regulate it, and let's all of the economy profit out of it, and the growers and the distribution, and that's. I'm a businessman. I'm not in favor of cannabis clubs, social clubs.
That's interesting. But in terms of, just to sort of wrap things up, when do you think there will be a sort of recreational THC market in Belgium? Do you see that happening within the next few years, or do you think you're a little bit, it's going to take a little while?
I always learn that we have to see the glass half full instead of half empty. So I'm a positive guy. I strongly believe that if all the pieces and gets together by 2028, we have a THC market in Belgium.
So you think it's probably the next few years? Do you feel like, and again, I know it's early days, but do you feel like what's happening in the Netherlands with the kind of social club experiment and with what's happening in Germany right now, do you feel like those are factors that will impact what will happen in Belgium? Or do you feel like you've got your own destiny?
I think the Belgian politicians, again, Belgium, it's a difficult country, but on the other hand, it's working in Switzerland, but in Belgium, it's a difficult country because one side of the country is influenced by the Netherlands and by Germany, and the other side by the country is influenced by France and so there was last week in the parliament or in the chamber a new discussion on how to approach the drugs and the cannabis, and all the French speaking were in favor of it, and the Dutch and the Flemish. So that's a little bit fucked up in our country, because on the one hand we have the rights, the Flemish people are voting right, and the French people are voting left. Right. So you have a big distraction between we live within one country. We have two different worlds where we live in, and that's difficult to come to a conclusion and to come to on the cannabis thing. But I still believe that the next government, we're waiting for it by the end of the year. See the benefits of regulating this market, and for all kind of purposes, not only for the income taxes, but I think there's more than only the income taxes on it.
No, absolutely. Again, it's just getting safe access, regulated market, all the reasons that, we talk about, the positive effects of legalization and harm reduction. But no, it's all still to play for.
And 100%, we're not creating a market, and that's the discussion I always have with politicians. But it's a bad sign if we regulate it right now. So but it's also a bad sign from the politic if you don't do anything about it, because it's there every day. 400,000 joints are sold or smoked in Belgium. If we take just to give you an example, on CBD, we pay average €5 a gram on taxes and VAT.
Wow.
You know how much this is on 400,000 joints a day? If you pay €5 on taxes a joint, so it's 2 million every day without labor, impact on labor, etc., and quality. So I think it's worth give it a try. But again, I'm not a politician. I'm a cannapreneur, so I see it from a different angle.
Yeah, but again, it's great that you're having those discussions and you're able to kind of fill them in on the reality of what people are asking for. So I think, again, that relationship between business and government is continues to be really instrumental globally, I think, in terms of the cannabis
and
sector.
then we have for discussion groups, and they say, but how it's possible that the business is on the table to discuss this? Because they say, they're always in favor of doing business, and we don't want the business and on the table to discuss the future of cannabis in Belgium. I say, guys, if you go to the UEFA, you need somebody who knows something about football on the table. So I think we're the only or one of the only parties in Belgium that can give input on the business of the business side, the legal business side of cannabis, and doing business in cannabis. So I think we have a place on the table to discuss, but not everybody sees it like this, because they think we're gonna legalize without commercializing, and that's not possible for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
To legalize, you need to commercialize.
No, that's very clear. I think so. I think, again, it could just kind of make sense. Otherwise, I guess it's the incentive, isn't it, for the government, for retailers, for it to be a business, because, it's hard enough to run a cannabis business.
Then I think I visited last week one of the 10 growers in the Netherlands. I have a good contact with them, and they did a whole investment, I think €7 million, and etc. But they're out of VAT, so they don't sell their goods with VAT on it. So that's also a missed opportunity for the government. There's no VAT on THC flowers and the wheat experiment in the Netherlands.
Is that so? That's interesting.
I didn't know that. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I hear.
But that's
There's
it.
no VAT on it. Can you imagine that? In the Netherlands, they take only 9 on coffee. You pay in the Netherlands 9% VAT. So the government it's a missed opportunity for the government also. And 9%, it's for 2 grams, 9% is not a lot. But if you take all the grams, it's a missed opportunity for the government to earn some money on it.
That's it. Well, I think it's just have to keep making them see sense, isn't it? But no, it's great to speak with you, Joeri, and thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about what's happening in Belgium. So good luck to you. I will speak again, and thanks for coming on. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Dave. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.